Welcome to week 4, June 22nd, 2022. That's a whole lot of twos, and twos mean planting seeds, and I hope to plant some seeds today. All right, today's topic is, you call this climate change? And the question for the day is, what do you think of when you hear the word dragon? This is our Metaphysics in the Bible, week 4 of 8. What's happening in the sky? Well, the summer solstice just went by yesterday, day before. It depends on where you live in the world. What is the summer solstice? Summer solstice is when the sun is furthest north for the people who live in the northern hemisphere, or this furthest south if you live in the southern hemisphere. So it's when you look up these heat waves, and of course we're saying heat waves are increasing in frequency and deadliness across Europe, America, Africa, and Asia as a direct result of a human-made climate change. So has this nothing to do with a new sun? Revelation 12:1, right? A brighter rainbow, brighter chakras, the cleanse of us, which is going to relate to the cleanse of the earth. So yeah, the climate's changing, but why? It's not human-made. It's written in the stars. It happens regardless. So, and it's, of course, going to help with getting rid of the redshift at us. So that is what the summer solstice is about. And what's the signs? Again, how do we know? This was from week 5, February 9th. The halos in the sky. I mean, think about it. Right on the summer solstice, we get a heat wave from the new sun that's about to happen. So the sun's getting brighter and we feel the effects of it more. Hence why we should be cleansing more. Hence the 7 plagues in the Bible, hence the 7 scorpions of Isis. Why do you think they had halos around everybody? It's because as you start getting revealed to, as you start getting enlightened, I don't know, we're going to physically see halos around us, but obviously you can start seeing them around the sun in the sky. I mean, it's a sign of the times of the 558-year cycle. It's upon us. So we're on the new sun. Looking at the 2D projection map, they call it, which is a reality of the map of where we live, not what NASA tells us, but we won't get into that politics. So you can see North America here, South America, Africa, right? Russia, China, Australia up here, New Zealand. So the sun goes round and round, but as it goes, it's like a record player, and it goes between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. North limit, south limit. Spring and fall equinox, because they call it an equinox, because it's on the equator. And then right now, the sun just hit its northernmost portion. So it's closer to us. So of course we should be feeling that heat wave. Werner, you're way up here, right? We're down here, so we probably feel it more because the sun's path, you know, as it goes around. So that's why in Australia, when the sun's on this side, just like southern, so the most southern point, they're hit the tip of winter. That's their shortest day of the year. So their days are getting longer now. Ours are starting to get shorter. But try to figure out, why is it that if the sun's already started its transit back this way, why does it get warmer during July and August? I haven't figured that one out yet. If anybody knows, I would love to hear their input. So that's what the summer solstice means. It means it's made its, and solstice because it's stands still. So it's almost like it's retrograde motion. I call it that, but whether it is a natural retrograde, it's not. It just sits, the sun stays still for a moment and then starts moving its descent back. Okay. So the summer solstice, measuring different things. You got the Egyptian clock, the Mayan clock, the Vatican clock, and the Stonehenge clock. And people are always talking about the solstices and the equinoxes. You can do that with a couple of sticks. You don't need these megalithic things. They built these for the 558-year cycle. The Egyptians did for sure. The Vatican, I haven't gone to go and look at the Mayan, the Vatican, or Stonehenge to see if I can make sense out of it, because I'd just try to prove it to somebody else, because I already know with the Egyptian clock, the Sphinx, that it marks a phoenix rising. So monitoring the sun is very important, but not just the yearly one, the 558-year cycle, when we get a new sun, a new you, a new phoenix rising, a new cleansed you. So I've been saying this repeatedly, but it's just too important. When Abdel Hakim Awyan, God rest his soul, I'm sure he's back already. When they reconstructed the Sphinx, they forgot it was she, the winged woman. The Sphinx lies on the meridian of Alexandria, which was the phoenix rising in 349. So when you do the math of when the sun, of Revelation 12:1, the woman clothed with the sun with the moon at her feet, 349. So if you look at 558, 2023 is the next one. When you keep subtracting, those are the dates. The Sphinx, which is a winged woman of the sky, lies exactly on the meridian of Alexandria. This is the clock. They're trying to tell us, to remind us. It's incredible. So the Sphinx is a marker of the phoenix rising, of where it happened. It happened out here in the water. They couldn't build it out in the water, so they built it across in Egypt. Rightfully so. The land of Isis. So let's look at the Vatican. What's the latitude of the Vatican? Well, the Vatican is not on any phoenix rising, but it's off by 30 degrees from the 1465 phoenix rising. Did they build it in a wrong spot? Did they not want to build it over here, which is this location down here, where the eye of the Sahara is, which fits the description of Atlantis from Plato's work? So this might have been a 26,000-year cycle, the last time it happened. So the Vatican is at 12.4 east. Well, when you look at 12 west over here from the phoenix rising we're about to see, were they off? Were they trying to build this thing such that, I mean, this thing is got a lot of lines and a lot of pillars. Were they trying to build one that'll show you where they all are and when they happen? Each phoenix rising? We don't know. I've never studied it. I didn't have to, but they went through all this trouble. Inside the Vatican, there is pictures of a phoenix rising. Now, the Vatican, every time there is a phoenix rising, the story of the mother, Virgin Mary, coming to a farm girl in Italy, and she was told to build a new church. Well, this is because we have to rebuild, like the Egyptians did, build record that this has happened, because we're going to forget again in 558 years. Is that during the Piscean age only? Don't know. But look at what was built in 1465 during a phoenix rising. 1447, the current Apostolic Palace was built. The Sistine Chapel was built. And when you go back and look at all the different ones, a new pope was ordained, a new pope was born. So they're trying to anoint themselves to be the leaders. You can't do that. Every one of us is anointed. And then I looked up in 0349. Well, Old St. Peter's Basilica was built near around that time frame. So all the history shows that people are tracking these phoenix risings, because when she comes back, we all cleanse. Mom and dad are back. The party's over. We've done some shit we're not supposed to do, right? So that's why they're tracking them, and that's why the Vatican owns the largest telescopes in the world and always has. So now switching over to the book of Revelation and looking for the word hour and what you find, because it's a clock. So I thought, let's look at the word hour. And the four angels who had kept ready for this very hour and day and month and year were released to kill a third of mankind. That's a misinterpretation of the four royal stars. And we talked about that, about the canopic shrine, right? And the four watchers of the east, the west, the north, and the south. At that very hour, there was a severe earthquake, and a tenth of the city collapsed. 7,000 people were killed in the earthquake, and the survivors were terrified and gave glory to God of the heaven. Well, an earthquake happens without the phoenix rising, right? What's the big deal? But obviously there's way more in the revelation that points to something different. Terrified at her torment, they will stand far off and cry, woe, woe to you, great city, you mighty city of Babylon. In 1 hour, your doom has come. This is repeated prophecy. The fall of Babylon, the fall of corporations. Is it going to be fall of construction, big constructions? Well, if there's a lot of earthquakes, maybe. Is it just in one country? Is it just one portion of the land? Don't know. But at least we're going to be prepared to sit there and observe, because it's not for us. But we at least know if it does happen, why it happened. And it's not because of man. It's a lot of energies coming our way. In 1 hour, such great wealth has been brought to ruin. Every sea captain and all who travel by ship, the sailors, and all who earn their livings from the sea will stand far off. You think that's opinion? The people, the sailors, the ones that follow the stars, the ones that know, they decided, let's go just wait this out in the sea and watch the fall of Babylon. So we're going to look at the book of Psalm now, and for the word dragon. And I thought, what is the etymology of psalm? Song sung to a harp. Originally, performance on stringed instrument, a plucking of the harp. So just like we learned in do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, si, do, they were putting things to music so we can remember them, because 558 years is a long time. And we seem to tend to forget. And I'm hoping that's only the Piscean age. So in the book of Psalm, this is really interesting. You huge mountains, Bashan mountains, mighty mountains, and dragon mountains. Why are they calling them dragon mountains? All you mountains not chosen, sulk now and feel sorry for yourselves, for this is the mountain God has chosen to live on. He will rule from this mountain forever. (148, 7-12). Praise God from earth, you sea dragons, you fathomless ocean deeps, because there are a lot of eruptions that happen from underground, underwater, that you don't see. Fire and hail, right? That's the volcanic rock that I'm telling you about, that they think is the stars falling from the sky. Snow and ice, hurricanes obeying his orders. I say it's her orders. Mountains and hills, apple orchards and cedar forests, wild beasts and herds of cattle, snakes and birds in flight. Earth kings and all races, leaders and important people, robust men and women in their prime, and yes, gray beards and the little children. So it's saying everybody be wary. And then my friend there, Dave Carlson, was talking about when they had that tsunami, the last tsunami. Was it the Philippines? Well, one of the elders there said, everybody head for the hills. They saw all the animals walking that way. So they all said head for the hills. And when they looked back, the people on the beach, you could see the water receding, right? The animals are going to show us the way. And we'll be in tune because we're watching the animals and the insects. Oh, look, the deep, wide sea, brimming the fish past counting, sardines and sharks and salmon, ships plow those warm waters, and Leviathan, you pet dragon, romps in them. So to me, that's talking about how the lava flows into the oceans. Moving on to the book of Revelations, as far as dragons go. The woman and the dragon, this is 12:1, right? A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. So that's the zodiac, the sun aligned with the mother, and a north node, Rahu. So there's a reason why it's called Ra, because Ra is Horus, Ra, the sun. That's a phoenix rising. So it's all there, folks. It's in Revelation, this phoenix rising. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. There it is right there, Verna. And 7 crowns on its heads. Its tail swept 1/3 of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. There's the volcanic rock. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth so that it might devour her child the moment it was born. That's the new sun getting covered by the ashes, devouring the sun, because you don't see the sun no more. Not no more. 3 days, 2 days, whatever it is, right? We lose Jesus for 3 days, dies on the cross. Of course, the cross is right. There's in the east, that's the cross. Jesus dies on the cross. The sun dies on the cross. We don't see him for 3 days, and then he comes back. That's going behind the ashes and then reappears. Then war broke out into heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. I don't know what that means. Could be rain, could be all sorts of things. I mean, when you're good, things will just happen and you'll be safe. That's what it's all about. The great dragon was hurled down. And that's the end of the eruptions. But the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon had spewed out of its mouth. So you might see lava, earthquake, lava going away, protecting the good. That's how I read that. So what about us? What about here? I'm going to show you a map of active lava lake volcanoes. There are, I'll just show you really quickly, there's 8 here. But these 2 are so close together, they can be considered one. So there's 7. So these have, in other words, there's a lava lake constantly there, a red pool of lava. And I'll talk to which ones that we are keeping our eye on specifically. So 12:3, then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. Well, that doesn't really say those are mountains, right? Or volcanoes. Well, the next one, 17:9, this calls for a mind with wisdom. Focus now. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits. 7 hills. Well, there's 7 active volcano lakes. Oh, and by the way, on the meridian of Alexandria, look how many there are. 1, 2, 3. See them? This one here, it lines up with the Pleiades. The Pleiades stars is here. This one here aligns with Canopus. So every one of these probably have a star relation. Maybe, maybe not, constellation. All great stuff to look into. Okay, so there's 3, these 2 which I'm calling 1, and 1 which lies on the Phoenix Rising of 2023. This is the location. This is Mount Erebus. So look, it's sure got the word Eris in there, E-R-E-U-S, Isis, whatever. This one here is a lava lake on top of ice in the Antarctic ice circle, the outer ridge. It's not a little ball on the bottom like NASA tells us. No, it's an ice ring all the way around. The rich, I was just told the other day that guys like, who's the guy, Microsoft guy, what's his name? Bill Gates. Him and a bunch of people are building in New Zealand right now. Are they going to go watch the Phoenix Rising? You might want to tell them that, because I love everybody, no matter who they are, because they're our brothers and sisters. Somebody out there that's listening, tell them that this volcanic eruption is going to wipe out at whatever they're building, if this goes. Like they're building right next to this volcano if you're building there in New Zealand. And people from New Zealand, keep an eye on Mount Erebus, download a volcanic app. You may have to leave, but if you're good, you won't have to. You'll be like the old lady who refused to leave on a hurricane because she was protected. If you're good, you're always going to be fine. You'll just have to observe and treat everybody with love. And of course, you've got these other 2 right here. All right. So like I said, 3 align with the Phoenix Rising, but there's a notable mention. When the people of New Zealand see the Phoenix Rising in the east, right at high noon, right aligned with Mount St. Helens. California has been known it's going to have the great big one. The big one's coming, the big one's coming, the big one's coming. Is this it? You might as well pay attention. Mount St. Helens lines on the Phoenix Rising position where it's due south. New Zealand sees it rising in the east, and the California people will see it right overhead, right on that line, which is 0 Point Aries. And Mount St. Helens lies right upon it. Point to ponder, point to watch. Is it going to happen again? Who knows? But we might as well listen to our foremothers and forefathers and what they left for us. Even through all the misinterpretations, it's still there. Okay, so here's more proof. 2 separate studies about the 209 BC. Okay, so this is, if you take the 558 and start subtracting 209 BC, Atlantic tsunami in Roman Lacus, look at this, Spain, southwest Spain. I'm going to read down here. In line with this, a 2017 study led by Jennifer Marlin at Yale University found that in 209 BC, Phoenix Rising, a volcanic eruption released a lot of sulfate aerosols into the Earth's atmosphere. This caused summer rains over the Nile headwaters to fail. A lack of rain could explain a well drying out, which perhaps helped encourage inhabitants to abandon the city. So she wrote about that. And this study here, a separate study, talked about we had a tsunami in 209 BC. We have so much proof. Here is in 1465 in the ice cores. Look how much ash was there, one of the highest ever in 1465. We had Tambora eruption in July 15th, 1815, which wasn't as much. The ash from the eruption column dispersed around the world and lowered the global temperatures in an event sometimes known as a year without a summer in 1816. So this was just mapping out 11 largest. Now, this big one that's back here, I say is the 209 BC. If that's a 1, this must be 209, right? You see it? 1,000. You divide that into 4, it looks like pretty close to 209 BC. There was another major volcanic eruption. The data shows that it's possible, very highly likely, that during a Phoenix Rising, we see a volcanic eruption. We see ash. We lose the sun. Now, is it going to be exactly on that date? I don't know. But I know I'm just going to observe if it does happen and just try to tell people, go watch our predictions. It's not man. It's meant to be. Be loving. Help your neighbor. Help everybody you can. And watch how everything turns into something very beautiful. And that's all I had for today. I just wanted to show you that there's a reason why they built these clocks. They weren't nuts. They weren't bored. These are our foremothers and forefathers trying to give us a message to remember what could be upon us.